Hello everybody, welcome back to the Bison Workshop. I'm Bob, and today we're going to show a little bit about the Ender 3 3D printer that I got. Now when I first started with this after putting it together, and it wasn't that difficult to put together once I got the file for the instructions, because this thing, the used ones don't come with instructions. So they had it on the SD card, and you know, it wasn't that bad to put together. However, there are a few things that doesn't fit my preferences. But first of all, before I get into the preferences, I tried this several times to get anything to work. The most successful thing that I did do was this dog test. But there's a crack all the way around here, and this living room is really dark, so forgive me, but there's a crack all the way around here, and then it steps up right here and has another little crack. But this was the most successful one that I've done so far. However, that was the last successful thing. So then I printed out this test keyboard leg, and part of it's not right. So that was with the PLA. The dog was in ABS. So the fan cover that I was trying to print out for on top of this box, where it redirects the airflow out and keeps dust out of your fan. So I tried to make that, and it broke in 3 pieces. In fact, it was separated like that as it was printing. So then when it got up to here, it did the same thing. So it just kind of fell apart as it was printing. So it didn't stick very good at them 2 locations. Alright, well, I finally did get one of those fan covers to print to where it would hold together, but it still had the cracks in it. So I just took RTV gasket maker and put on it and made it work. So but I plan to make a new one. So right now what I'm working on is the cover for the back of this motherboard that's on the display. So you take this display off, turn it over, and screw that to the back side of it. So right now this is my second attempt. The first attempt, it just started coming up off of the bed. Now it is really difficult to get anything to stick to anything. I just happen to have a little bit of Elmer's paste glue that's in the tube that you turn like deodorant. I smeared it on there a couple days ago, and I hadn't scraped it off, and I just said, well, let me just try it. Well, I did try it, and the first time it lifted up in several different places and just started pulling it all over the bed with the nozzle. So I ended up taking that apart and canceling that one, and then I started this one. Well, this one started lifting on this corner and this corner, simply because that I put the glass in the wrong orientation, and if I'd have turned it around the other way where there was glue on this side, it would have hit. But right there wasn't no glue. So, but as it started building the sidewall, then it started pushing it down, putting glue on it, or plastic on it in the corners. And then each time they do that corner, it push it down a little further and a little further and a little further each time. Well, then when it started building the wall, then it started getting that vertical, or no, horizontal, no, vertical, yeah, up and down. Once it got the vertical wall started, then it started strengthening up. So as it was pushing it down, and adding plastic, it finally started settling down. So now it's printing pretty decent. Right now it's working on the wall, and I'm hoping to get a new or good print out of this. Now I've taken the ABS out of it, and this here is PLA. So it looks to me like we're having a little better luck with PLA than we are with ABS. So we won't be getting ABS no more. It's too temperamental. And this machine is very temperamental. It's really hard to get stuff to stick to this bed. No matter what you do, I've tried. I even tried the 3M spray glue. That didn't work very well. I used that speed stick kind of glue, Elmer's, and that seemed to work the best. Now I've got hairspray coming for that. We're going to try hairspray. Now I tried this hairspray, but apparently there's all different kinds of hairspray. So I thought it was just hairspray, and that, I thought all hairspray was the same, but apparently not. This is an oily base, and when I put it on there, it was just slicker than two eels in a barrel of snot. So we'll scrap this. Maybe next girlfriend I get can use this on her hair. Who knows? If I ever find one, a decent one. Anyway, yeah, my date didn't go very well. It ended in disaster. Anyway, that's not important. What I plan to do with this thing is, if you don't have this pulley on there, now I've got this on there just temporary. Now you wouldn't want this on here if you was printing something really high or tall. So I don't think I'm ever going to print anything that tall anyway, but temporarily I have a bracket with a pulley that mounts on there with just a clamp. Now eventually I'm going to move this to its own bracket. I'm going to take this clear off, and I'm going to make me something that looks like a towel rack, a paper towel rack, but longer, that goes from this side to this side, where I can put all my different colors in a row. I don't know if I'll be able to do that or not, because by the time I get really wide with my stacks, because I've got another one laying over there of ABS. This one's ABS, this one here is PLA, and that one's PLA. And eventually I want to get all the colors. I've got PLA in black coming, so I don't know what I'm going to do with this ABS. I guess I'll use it for weed eater string. But, and that might work for weed eater string, I don't know. It might be too small. I might just make a small one just to screw to the wall, or make it where it has a stand. I don't know yet how I'm going to do it. But I want to put something over here so that I can put this right there, so that it's a direct feed right into the hopper or the feeder. So that way it has no choice but to go straight in. Right here, if you have it here like they have it originally, without this pulley, this thing will pull really tight, because sometimes you get to a point where this filament has sunk itself in underneath a couple other layers, and it'll get tight. So then it won't pull right. So the best thing to do is bring this down here, so that the feed will just go straight into the head, or the tensioner. So that's one of the plans I have for changing this. I'd actually like to do it in a way where all that stays together. So there might be a way that I can use this track on the side here with a T-nut. Maybe I can make a bracket that comes off of here and is straight up, and then this will have a pulley on it, which is probably what's going to happen. So Anyway, let me put you down here and show you what we got going on, and we'll do some fast forward and speed this bad boy up so you can watch it print. Alright, so now let's take this off, if we can get it off, without any problems. But we're going to test it with the ring around it first. Alright. It's a little rough on the back side of it. but for the most part I think it did okay. It's got its issues. It's not as smooth as it should be on the bottom. It had a rough start, and I was holding my breath on this hole right here actually working out okay, because as you can see how it turned out, it kind of went off a little bit. See how straight this side is? Well, this one's going in that direction, so that kept lifting up. So at least it did finally straighten up, and I can just take a drill bit and just clean that out a little bit, clean all these little things here out, and I'll get that cleaned up, and we'll see how it looks. Alright guys, we got it cleaned out, and it looks pretty good on the inside, but it looks kind of rough on the outside, if you guys can see that. Shiny in some places, lines in it in some places, and it's not the best looking box in the world, or cover, but it's going in behind this. No one's ever going to see it, so it just goes and bolts on the back side of that. So I'll do that some other time. Now let me bring you back here and let's talk about some of this stuff and give you my final thoughts. Alright, so we've seen this work, and it probably wouldn't have lifted if I'd had turned this glass, because if you notice there's more glue on this side than there is this side, and it's open that far. I usually have it the other way, because when I use my stick, glue stick, I can't never get over further than this right here. So I had it turned around backwards. If it had been on correct, it probably would have stuck all the way around. And that corner, them two corners wouldn't have done what it did. So, for me, that's a little aggravating. When I buy a tool, I expect that tool to, when I bring it out of that box and I put it together, it's ready to use at all costs. This is not ready to use. When you buy this, you have to buy the glass bed, because that stuff will not stick to that original surface for no man's money. And I'm sorry, I believe that when you sell a 3D printer, that glue or that plastic should have a surface that it'll stick to. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't stick to glass by itself. If you've got that glass clean and squeaky clean, there shouldn't be any reason why it won't stick to this glass, but it won't. So they need to come up with something new to make that work right out of the box, or send the glass with the 3D printer. And that's what I thought it had when I bought it. I thought it was going to have the black glass bed. So that's one thing I don't like, is the fact that nothing wants to stick. I don't know how I got that one to stick in that dog. But that's just one of the problems. Number two problem is this SD card reader that they send with this. It doesn't even hold the card. See? It's so deformed inside there, apparently, that it won't even, you know, when you put a SD card in a slot, when you get down to about the last 1/16 of an inch, it should be a little harder to push, because it's hitting the contacts and springing them. Well, this one's not doing it. It won't read nothing. It's junk. So don't just go ahead and buy you a new SD card reader. I just bought this one for the computer, and because this one don't have a card reader on it, so I ended up having to get a card reader for this computer. So now all three of my computers will have card readers. So now all three of my computers have a purpose. Number one, this one in here is for the TV, Netflix, and the 3D printer now. But this wouldn't work, and I had the devil of the time trying to get anything to go to another card, or another reader like this. So I went and got another reader, and for some reason the USB on this one's not working correct. So at least it doesn't for that one card reader. So that's one thing you're going to want to make sure you get. If you buy this printer, you want to get PLA, not ABS. Unless you are a professional at these 3D printers and knowing exactly how to set them up, you want to start with PLA. I just found that out with this, because this was PLA, and all the other stuff that I did that busted up and cracked and wouldn't stick very good was the ABS. So you want to start with PLA. So when they send this to you, they send you about 20 wraps around your hand. That's it. Just to get you a practice. It's actually, they should send a whole roll like this. They should send you the whole roll. That's just tight. That's too tight for my blood. Another thing that needs to be addressed is this, and I think I've already explained that in the beginning of this video, is this needs to be down here so that this is a direct feed straight across into this. Another thing that I found that was a slight problem is the adjuster that you push to release the filament so you can pull it out or push it in. That spring needs to be a little bit stiffer. For the simple reason, when I first started this, I noticed that the gear was turning, but the filament wasn't going in. Well, the gear was turning, but this wheel, or the bearing wasn't, that the filament rides in, the 1.75 groove that it rides into. It wasn't turning. So that told me that it wasn't tight enough. So I just reached up there and just kind of pulled it in its outer fullest extent, and it went just a little bit further, and then it started grabbing a hold of it. So now every time I get ready to start this printer, I'll just take and pull that to make sure that it's got a good seat. But by rights, it needs a stiffer spring, and I've got some stiffer springs for the bed coming for it, and there's like 10 of them. So I only need 4 for the bed, so I'm going to try to use one of the bed springs that's on it now and see if they are stiffer than this one right here. If it is, I'll switch them, because they're about the same size. I think these are just a little bit longer. So the construction. I think the construction was decent. There was one plug that I had the devil of a time finding where it went, and found out that it went inside this box here, back in behind there, and you couldn't hardly see it. Even if you was looking for it, you couldn't see it. I missed it looking in there the first time. I said, ain't nothing in there, and then I seen it. So yeah, there's one inside here, the little plug, and it's the devil of the time to find. It definitely needs cable management, so you have to deal with these cords back here to make sure that they're good and not pinned up against something. So I had to use pipe cleaner or bread ties. I got both, holding that together, and eventually I'm going to probably do a braid around it. So it'll look good. Maybe some yarn, or maybe some rope or string or something. we'll do some braiding on that and braid it all down to the bottom. And then we got the power wire for the power supply going there that needs to be pinned up because it looks terrible and it's just flopping around. You definitely want to level your bed, and that's the whole purpose of the glass, simply because that bed is not, it's warped. This one is anyway. I don't know about all the rest of them that goes out of their store. This one is warped. I took a level, cleaned off the surface, laid it on there, seen daylight right here in the middle. So that tells me that it's like, it's concaved. So it's like a dish. So you definitely want to use glass. And then once you use your glass, put it on there, then you'll take a piece of paper and you'll lower this head, or you'll set it in its home position. And once you've got it in your home position, then you go over to your button, you push your button, you click down one, hit prepare, click down one, disable. Now you can move your table around where you want. But we're going to go down, hit prepare, then we're going to go down 2, and we're going to hit auto home. And then you want to pull your clip off, this corner one, because we don't want it to be in our way. So what you do is you disable your steppers again. Alright, now we can move this. So we're going to move this over, and you should just be able to, well, it's probably got, yeah, it's got filament on it. But trust me, mine's right. So what you do is you put your piece of paper in there to where it's in between the head and the glass, and then you go underneath this wheel and you turn it, let's see, if you're looking down, you would be turning counterclockwise to make the gap bigger, and then clockwise to make the gap shorter. So you want to get it to where the paper just barely starts getting a grab to it. Once it starts getting a grab to it, then you're good. Move to the next one. So then you just move it over here, you do the same thing, then you move it back here, do the same thing, then you move it over here, do the same thing. And you want to do that twice, because when you move this one and this one, when you go to this one, it's going to change those. So you want to go around and do all 4 of them one more time. That just ensures that you've got a good good gap. So it's basically like a gap in a spark plug. Yeah, it's a filament on the bottom of it. But anyway, so there's our first successful piece. So now I just gotta put it on the machine, and then I'm gonna print out this piece right here again. And the reason I went with green is I figured I could just use camouflage and put on the back side of it, make a nice camouflage scene on the back side of it with, yes, duct tape. And it would look pretty decent. So we're going to camouflage everything, since I got the green for somebody, but then that somebody ended up being a nightmare. So at least I got green. So I want to get red, blue, and purple. I want to get a bunch of different colors, but that'll be later on down the road. This will get me to where I can practice and get this thing dialed in before I start making serious parts. So, would I recommend the Ender 3? Well, that could be answered two ways. Yes, if you're prepared to deal with the little things that needs to be dealt with before you can even use it. Yes, I would. So it's kind of a yay or nay kind of deal. I don't know what else to say about it except that, you know, I'm just now starting to learn the Cura program. I still don't know how to draw in those programs. I've tried Tinkercad and I'm getting an idea. It's just a matter of knowing what to do and what not to do. It can't be much more different than Microsoft Paint. You know, it took me a while to learn that. And I can pretty much draw on Microsoft Paint. Too bad I couldn't transfer Microsoft Paint pictures over into the CAD. That would be sweet. It did come with an 8 gig SD card, and like I said, this thing right here. They did give you extra tools that you didn't need. Not one time did I use the little Phillips screwdriver. Not one time did I use they sent this, and neither one of those got used. Now they're probably for a purpose. I don't know what they're for, but they'll go with the 3D printer. They'll stay here somewhere close to the 3D printer. I'll probably put a little drawer here with all the stuff in it. So came with these little things too, and these are actually pretty nice. Little clippers for your filament. I like that. At least they did think of that. So the next thing we're going to do is the fan cover and see if we can't get that one to stick. But that's my review and what I think of the Ender 3 3D printer. And I hope you guys got something out of this. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. You guys have a good one. Later.